What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nash. Today we're going to be talking about how to negotiate your salary. So this is going to be for entry-level positions. Let's say you just graduated from college, now you're starting to apply for jobs, and you're trying to decide how much you want to get paid, right? You have to be ready for this because most of the time when you do interviews, they will ask you what's your expected range of pay. What do you expect in terms of compensation? How much do you want to get paid? It's always going to be a different question, but what they're asking is, how much do you expect to get paid, right? So that is where a lot of people make mistakes. They'll go for the lowest number possible, and they get stuck with that. And to be quite honest, it's going to take a long time to catch up to how much you're really supposed to pay, right? So let's say you're worth $47,000 as your starting salary, and then you ask for, say, well, $35,000 is good for me, and then they give you that. Imagine how long it's going to take, how many promotions, how many raises it's going to take until you get to $47,000. So compared to someone who comes in and says, well, I want something between $47,000 and $55,000, right? And they're going to be offered, let's say, $47,000. Now, both of y'all are starting at the same level, but they're getting paid more. So when you get a raise, and if they get a raise, they're just going to earn more than you. So you always want to be ready for this type of question. And I'm going to be explaining how to do that. At least this is how I did it. And I think it's going to apply to a lot of you guys. So hopefully this helps. Let me know if it does. Let me know if it doesn't. And let me know if you've done it differently. But let's go ahead and get started. All right. So the first thing you have to do is list your expenses. So expenses are going to be things like, your rent, utilities. If you have any loans like car loans or tuition loans, phone bill, all the things that you have to pay. All right, so let's say every month you need $1,200 to pay off your expenses, right? So that's going to be the amount that you need to survive every month. And when you multiply that by 12, so you can get the amount that you need per year, that's going to be $14,400. So that should give you an idea of how much you need to survive. So once you do that, the next step is going to be doing your research. So when I say do research, it means you're going to look up exactly how much you're supposed to get paid, right? So this is obviously going to be an average, and you have to be as specific as possible to get a more accurate answer. So if I was looking to be a financial analyst in San Antonio, Texas, and I was looking for an entry-level position, I would look up something like a financial analyst entry-level position, San Antonio, Texas, average salary, right? And it's going to give you a range. There's a lot of websites that will give you great averages, and these are based on people that actually submit their salaries. And this is also going to vary between the companies. So if you're working for a small company, you're probably not going to get paid as much as someone who's working for Microsoft or a bigger company, right? So you have to keep that in mind when you're doing your research. And I also recommend to look at several websites, right? So there's a bunch of websites that will tell you different answers. So you kind of look at maybe 10, 13 different websites and you come up with your own conclusion, right? So if you see mostly maybe financial analysts in San Antonio, Texas at an entry-level positions are getting paid between $45,000 and $55,000, right? All right, so now if you look at this, you're going to see that this is way more than your expenses being the amount you need to survive, which was the $14,400. So it's always supposed to be like that. So if you're applying for a job and the job is paying you less than how much you have to pay in expenses, that is not a good job. Look for a different job. Change the type of job that you're looking for, because you're going to have to find a second job just to pay your monthly expenses. All right, so let's say you find the range of $45,000 to $55,000 for your specific job at an entry level, right? So now you have to look at your experience, right? Because they're not going to pay you $55,000 if you do not have any experience, right? Let me give you this example. So there might be two different people that are entry level, right? They have the same job, and someone's going to get paid $55,000. Someone's going to get paid $45,000, right? So somebody got the lower end and somebody got the higher end, right? And this is because it might be based on experience. It might be based on negotiation. It might be based on several things. So if you don't have any experience, you should aim for the lower end of the stick, which is $45,000. If you have a little bit of experience, you should maybe go in the middle. All right, so let's say you're willing to accept $45,000 a year, right? So now you have to realize that we have to pay taxes, right? So you're not going to be getting the $45,000 a year simply because they have to withhold your taxes. So you can actually do a Google search if you don't want to do the math like me. So if you look on the screen, you're going to see that I actually Googled $45,000 after taxes in Texas, right? So you have to be specific with your state when you do these Google searches, because some states have state tax and some do not. Texas does not, so we just pay the federal tax. If you are earning $45,000 a year in Texas, you're going to be paying about $7,000 in taxes, and you're going to take home about $37,000. And so now there's more. So now let's say your job offers you benefits, right? Let's say vision, dental, medical, short-term disability, anything like that. You're going to be paying into that, right? So you have to also subtract that amount. So those are some of the things you have to find out before you sign any contracts. And there's also retirement plans that you have to contribute to if you want to. There are a lot of things that can be deducted from your pay. So you have to really make sure that you understand all the things that are going to be deducted from your pay. They're going to tell you the total amount, like $45,000. They don't include taxes or benefits that you have to pay into. So those are the things you have to do on your own. All right, so let's say instead of $45K, they will tell you that we can only do $42,000 a year for you. How do you negotiate out of this, right? So most of the time, you don't really have a lot of negotiating room into, raising the pay. Maybe the company just cannot afford to pay you. There are several reasons why you might get paid. Maybe everyone has to start at that or something like that. There's so many things that could be tied to that. But the question is, how do you maximize that? So one of the things that I have found to be useful is to ask for perks and compensation. So when I say perks, you can ask for things like, let's say you have to move apartments or you have to move into a different state. You can ask for them to cover the moving expenses. You'd be surprised. Most companies would be more than happy to cover your moving expenses. You can also ask for things like bonuses, raises, and promotions. And I always recommend to be as specific as possible, because once you get to the point to where they're asking you how much they should pay you, they probably like you, right? And they don't want to lose you. So I recommend always asking direct questions when it comes to how much you're going to be getting paid. Anything related to getting paid, right? Because at the end of the day, you're working to get paid money. And if you're not paid, then you cannot pay your bills and then you become homeless. I mean, maybe not homeless, but you get the idea. And when it comes to bonuses, raises, and promotions, you can ask questions like, what is the process of getting a bonus? What is the process of getting a promotion? What is the process of getting a raise? What does it take to get a raise? They'll give you a good idea of, who gets a raise and who doesn't, and who gets promoted, and how they deal with promoting people. So that is pretty much it when it comes to how to negotiate your entry level salary. And hopefully this helps you guys. This is something that I did for myself, and I hope you guys can apply it to your journey. But I thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.